Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather coming at you with another video. In this update, we're going to be talking about our next upcoming winter storm that's going to be impacting the north central US as well as the Ohio Valley this week. So before I do get started, if you do like weather related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media. All right, so let's get started. Here is the overall snowfall reports from yesterday with that big system into Texas. It started off in Colorado. It swung through New Mexico and just kind of exploded over Texas. Look at the map of these 12 to 18 inches of snowfall reports. A pretty good chunk, and even places like Lubbock picked up 7.6 inches. Snow into Odessa, Midland. I think Abilene got 7 inches. I mean, even Austin had their biggest snowfall since 2004 with 4 to 6 inches. And it almost extended all the way down to San Antonio. This was pretty incredible. All the way into East Texas, there was a little bit of dry air that snuck into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But just to the south, there was like 8 inches in Stephenville. So it was an incredible snowfall. And that swung through Louisiana, dumping some more snow into central and northern Louisiana. And now it's snowing this morning in Jackson, Mississippi. So that was an incredible snowstorm. But now what's going to happen this week? And where's the culprit? We got to go all the way out to the Pacific. And it's just been an inundated atmospheric river for the Pacific Northwest. And yet we have another system that's going to be the culprit of our next snowstorm that's going to be impacting areas later on this week. So this is how it's going to originate out of the Pacific. We've got an abundance amount of moisture that's going to be swinging in to the Northwest again, just dumping some more relentless rain for that area. They just seen one system after another. But now let's take a look at the upper levels and where all this is how it's going to come to fruition. Here is the setup for Monday. Later on today, in the higher levels, we see this trough developing with that atmospheric river of moisture that's going to be swinging in from the Pacific Northwest. We do have a little bit of a trough down south where they've had that kind of a snowpack down in Texas, and that'll be swinging across later on this week. That actually kind of amplifies and extends, and if there's enough moisture around left, we could have another snowstorm in Texas, but that ain't going to happen. There's just very little precipitation to work with this developing trough. And so that is going to be off the table. But our focus is going to be from into the Northwest where we have our next setup underneath. And that's when it's going to start pushing to the east as we extend further into midweek. And as we extend, once it gets to about the central U.S., the jet stream will really start to nosedive. It'll really buckle. Look at it buckle and look like a horseshoe. You see this? All the way extending all the way into the Ohio Valley. That'll pull in a lot of the colder air, dumping our next snow setup for the central U.S., get it into portions of the Ohio Valley. And then as we extend later on through into Saturday, this will try to push down to the southeast, but the jet stream will also try to buckle at that same time and lift northward as it extends going into the mid-Atlantic into the northeast by this upcoming weekend. So now let's kind of zoom in and take a look at the overall surface map and how this is all going to play out. This is for tomorrow morning. On Tuesday morning, we see that system that we talked about out in the Pacific coming ashore and dumping some very heavy rain along the coast. Places like Vancouver, every day has been getting a lot of rain. Seattle, Portland, Washington, Oregon, all the way down to the northern California. It's just been confined to this area of the country. And then in the interior regions, we have some, once it hits the ski resorts, they've just been having an incredible year out there in the ski resorts with this just relentless amount of moisture to work with. So once it hits the higher elevations, that's where we're seeing the snowfall flying, and places like, Washington getting into upper portions of Idaho. And this will kind of extend as we go through the day on Wednesday. That atmospheric river of moisture will just keep just adding just day after day of flow of moisture precipitation, and that'll set the stage for our next snow event that's going to be coming up and setting up over the central U.S. and eventually getting into the Ohio Valley. So let's kind of expand the view and kind of take you through Thursday and how this setup is actually going to kind of play out. Once it extends, gets into Montana, and jumps some snow into portions of Canada, it'll starting to get its act together by Thursday afternoon as it kind of taps into some of the cold air pushing in from Canada, and it starts to create an area of low pressure and starts to have that anticyclonic flow to it and really start to deepen. So we see the snow really start to deepen over North Dakota, places like Fargo, North Dakota, South Dakota, getting into northern portions of Minnesota by then, and this will kind of amplify as we extend through the week. And as we extend, going into overnight Thursday, getting into Friday morning, you can see this area of disturbed weather really start to kind of deepen. That's when you're starting to see some of those heavier snowfall totals. The winds will start to pick up in North Dakota, South Dakota. It will try to press and push into Nebraska, going into southern portions of Minnesota, and starts creeping into Iowa by then, as well as Wisconsin as we approach coming up on the day on Friday. And as we extend the view going into Friday night, it really starts to amplify and deepen as that jet stream buckles overhead, and at the surface, it'll try to wring out any available precipitation. So I do think some of the higher totals going to be set up over the northern Dakotas and northern portions of Minnesota. And as it extends southward, it'll lose a lot of the precipitation with it, but it'll still wring out some snow flying in Iowa, getting into northern portions, Missouri. I think maybe places like St. Louis will kind of be more like on the borderline of where it kind of stops as far as the snow. But we should see some lighter amounts into Illinois and Indiana, Indianapolis. And then we'll just see how it kind of phases as we extend to, further beyond this, because a little bit of uncertainty and how this is actually going to phase for the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, because by that time it'll be, next weekend, it'll be 6-7 days out. So as we kind of extend, you can see how it kind of phases and how it's actually going to, if there's enough cold air around, and how this is going to extend in the jet stream, if it's going to, remain buckled or, lift up north. Just too much uncertainty, 6 days out, and how all this is going to play out. But if we expand the view, this is kind of the precipitation, what we have to work with this week. You can see just in the Northwest, we just get inundated day after day after day, and places along the coast. So we're talking 6-8 inches just this week along the coast, from Northern California to Oregon to Washington. And as we go inland, a lot of this will be all snow in the higher elevations, but you can see where a lot of the precipitation is going to fall, and where some of the heavier amounts are going to be in places like Fargo, North Dakota, and central and northern portions of Minnesota, as well as Wisconsin from this event. And then a little bit lighter amounts as we extend into places of the Ohio Valley. And a lot of this action is the snowstorm that's going on right now that came from Texas. Because if we look at the preliminary snowfall totals, now again, these will kind of adjust as we extend in time, but I'm pretty confident that this area is going to be some heavier snowfall in the higher elevations of the ski resorts. And then the heavier snowfalls are going to be possibly double-digit totals for Fargo and northern portions of Minnesota, and then northern portions of Wisconsin. And we'll just see how far this jet is able to extend, and how these snow amounts. But a good line would probably be, the snow would probably extend all the way to places like St. Louis, a good chunk of Illinois, Illinois, and then going into Indiana, and then kind of ringing itself out in the Ohio Valley. Like I said, and then it's too much uncertainty for places in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast and how this is going to play out beyond that. But yeah, underneath with that snowstorm that came out of Texas, this is what's happening right now, and that low out of Texas, this is what you're seeing currently right now. It kind of ring itself out, dumping some more snow today, actually, into northern portions of Alabama, and then it'll kind of lose its luster as it extends into Tennessee. So that is our next upcoming winter storm that looks to take place Thursday night into Friday, going into early Saturday for this week. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.